peace doves. That may be the last time I call y'all peace doves. We got quite a bit to talk about. You may have been wondering, where have I been these last few months? And I'm kind of coming at you off script, honestly. Well, back in September, I exhibited my art at a local, sort of craft fair thing. And I had fun, but it was also quite the learning experience for me. How do I put this? When I started Blessingvh Art, I was 22, and I had never owned or operated a business of any kind. The most I had ever done prior to, taking Renee Christine's Handmade Titan business building course was sell my art at a craft fair during my last couple of months as a college student. And I have learned a lot since then. But because I had never owned or operated a business prior to taking Renee's full-on handmade business making course, I really didn't know a lot of what I was doing. She teaches you everything you need to know about running an e-commerce, handmade product-based business, but I had never ran an Etsy shop. I had never, I didn't know how shipping labels were made. It's a basic thing to me now, but way back then I didn't know how do you make shipping labels? How do you pay for shipping? How do you set up a PayPal account? I didn't know any of that. And so pretty much all of her students, her star pupils, or just students in general, they had an Etsy store where they made a couple sales here and there, and then they finally decided, hey, I want this to be how I make my living and stuff. So they had already had some experience with it, and I was diving in head first. But I knew that owning my own art business, bilingual art business, was what I wanted to do for pretty much the rest of my life. And I trusted Renee because I went to one of her webinars, which was free, and learned so much in that 45 to 50 minutes than I had ever learned by looking up art business advice on YouTube. And I say all this because Blessingvh Art is changing. So back in September, when I was doing that craft fair, what I learned the most is that my audience is not who I thought my audience would be. And I was marketing my art essentially to the wrong people. In 2017, I did not launch a collection because I was still taking Renee Christine's course. It's a long course. You basically learn everything about owning and operating a business. And so it takes forever to complete it. But in 2018, I did my first launch, Twinkle Twinkle Ocean Star collection. And then in 2019, I did my Magical Lagrange Memories collection. In 2020, I did my Happy Heart collection, and I did not launch anything in 2021. But so I've launched 3 collections. And each time I learned more and more about myself and about, the people who would comment and see my art, which a lot of them were just friends and family. But I also made quite a few sales too, which was, I was surprised by that. But back to this craft fair. I did make sales there, but I also made like the best sales after the craft fair. And during this fair, it went from being an amazing event to me, what do you call it? There's no other way to put it. Me having a nervous breakdown and panicking because I was told that my art was not worth my asking price, and I got called ungrateful for not being happy that I could even sell my art at this particular fair. I got told a lot of other stuff too, but that's not what this video is about. And I had a nervous breakdown, and my friends had to help me through it. It was really bad. I don't really talk about the personal illnesses I struggle from because I don't feel comfortable sharing those types of things. I know it isn't as taboo to talk about your personal illnesses nowadays, but I still, like the way I was raised, it was just something you didn't talk about because, well, I'm not going to go into all of that because that's not what this video is about. But I do suffer from personal problems that cripple me. And so when I was having my full-on breakdown, I was shaking uncontrollably. I was crying, and I couldn't keep it together. But my friends, thankfully, helped me, but it was a multiple day process. And after that, I realized I was completely burnt out because prior to that craft fair, I spent pretty much my entire summer working on pieces to sell at this fair. And I had high hopes and high expectations because I always look at everything with like a youthful optimism, as my friends say. And it's not that I was planning to sell out gangbusters. I never look at a craft fair or anything like that as like a sellout, to the masses. I wasn't looking at it that way. I wasn't even in it for like the money. I just really wanted to, just be appreciated for what I do for a living. And if you wanted to buy one of my more, I don't want to say expensive, because a lot of people have told me that my art is priced too low, which I do agree with, or that it's too high. So I know from taking Renee Christine's class that it's not expensive, because I learned how to price my stuff in her course. It's not expensive. But I always get nervous at these things because I'm dealing with like the general public, and they always have a lot to say. Like the minute you say I own and operate my own like work at home business, all of a sudden everybody has become a small business owner and they feel the need to tell you everything you're doing wrong with your company. And so when I was told, I made sales mainly in my greeting cards, which I know for a fact those are like, it was some of my best seller greeting cards, you know? Like, for some reason people are just so drawn to my greeting cards. Like, it makes me happy, it really does. Um but I made a few big pieces too, and I charged them. I basically used the pricing structure that I used for the Happy Heart collection, but the pieces were a lot bigger than the Happy Heart collection. And they were framed, they were matted. Like, I did the full on works. And so when I was told that my art's not worth my asking price, and when I was called ungrateful, and when more insults and things were thrown my way, I burnt out. For the rest of September and quite a bit of October, I didn't want to make any art at all. And that Instagram post that I made, which is like my last Instagram post, I was really struggling because I was like, do I want to continue to do this? Why do I feel the need to please people who, every collection, I learned more and more, because every collection, the general public would tell me, well, I would buy it if it was more like this. Well, I would buy it if it was more like that. And so I would implement it in the next collection, because you're getting feedback, and then they still would stick their nose up at me and not buy my art. And the worst critics I've had were from people who would constantly find excuses to not buy my art. I could make exactly what they want, and they still would throw insults at me. And so I didn't know if I wanted to continue. But in the midst of that, I went back to my roots. I went back to Renee Christine's courses, because I was like, something is just not right. And I don't like it. And her courses have private Facebook groups. So I was thinking about changing my company name. I was thinking about it for pretty much all of 2021, honestly. And I just so happened to find in our private Facebook group, there was another student in the course who was like, I want to change my business name. And in that post, people were saying, well, before you change it and everything, go to Renee Christine has a mini course that's, separate from the big moolah course called, I think it's called like the branding workshop or something like that. Take that course before you change your business name. And so I was like, well, I'm kind of in the same position. I want to change my business name. Let me take this course. So I started this course, and for the so from like mid-October all the way through January, I was taking notes on this course, and I learned so much. I learned everything I needed to know about branding and whatnot. And so one of the things in that course, I can't really tell you like specifically what's in it, because you gotta pay to get that stuff, but she teaches you about how to find your audience. And so as I was learning, I was slowly implementing the steps in her course, and it was pretty much December and January doing research on finding my audience. And not only did I find my audience, which I am super thankful for, I was just thankful. I was even more thankful for the fact that I finally found people who I know will love my art and will love watching me create, and people who won't ever tell me that I'm ungrateful or that my art's not worth my asking price. And I cried when I finally found my audience, and I emailed Renee Christine. She has like a, like a company email that, her customer servicey people answer. And what ended up happening was they forwarded that email that I sent to Renee Christine, and Renee responded, and she was like, "Congratulations, you did the most hardest thing that any business has to go through." And so I started crying, tears of joy this time. And I was like, okay, now I have my game plan. And so I am here now to tell you we aren't ready to launch yet. I'm still working on it's going to be a mini collection. But I'm telling you now that Blessingvh Art is completely changing. For one thing, it's no longer Blessingvh Art. It's now called Blessayo. It is a combination of my name and my sister's name because she was a really big person who helped me through my burnout. Y'all will no longer be called peace doves. Y'all will be called kreepy doves, kreepy with a K. There's other changes, like there's a whole lot of changes that are fixing to happen. But I am happy about it. But when we relaunch or whatever, if for whatever reason it's no longer your thing, that's okay. Y'all can just, I know that the type of art that I want to do is not going to be for everybody. But that's okay. Just, be respectful. That's all. I mean, I've never had problems with y'all being disrespectful, but just people in the community that I live in have been the hardest to deal with. And I just wanted to say that I'm so thankful for all of you who have sent me private messages, checking up on me, who have talked to me, who have just, wanted to know what was going on. I talked about my burnout period. I have been making pieces, more like sketches. I've been doing a lot of sketching. And I have had some new additions to my studio that has made making art a lot more easier and less back straining on me. And I've been having fun with what I've been making because I was starting to get to the point where I was no longer having fun because I was so focused on, well, what if nobody likes it? What if they feel the need to tell me they don't like it? This, that, and the other thing. Now I'm at the point where I know what my audience likes, but also I know what I like, and I'm not gonna take, mean stuff from anyone. I feel Blessayo, Blessingvh Art, now Blessayo, turned 5 years old on March 23rd of 2022. And I celebrated. I was going to post then, but I just didn't have the strength. I was still too scared, but it was a big celebration. And I realized in 5 years I've learned so much about myself. I've learned what I won't tolerate from people. I also learned the big lesson of if you try to sell to everyone, you end up selling to no one. So Blessayo is definitely going to be more of a niche market, a niched company. So instead of me just making art, it's going to be just more focused. And I like that. It's easier for me to manage because I'm not constantly worried about what people are going to like. So I just wanted to, let all of you know I'm okay. my burnout period ended in like, it ended a while ago. I did pick up my paintbrushes again. And this particular video you're watching me do, I painted outside. There's a little garden of tulips near me, and I decided to work outside and use some inks, colored inks, Dr. Phil Martin inks, and my walnut stick to make some art. And you can already see that my style has changed too, just in this painting, which I hope y'all have enjoyed. But I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm okay and things are changing for the better. And I am thankful for each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. And I hope y'all have been doing okay too. Thank you for listening, and God bless.